So on my passport, it says the teacher.
That must be confusing people at the border.
Oh, and I love it. I love it because the guy will go, "You the teacher?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm the teacher." Interrupting the old way of thinking. And the only way to interrupt it is not by going, say this or do this. No. Breathing in, breathing out, switching off, disconnecting from stimulation. Because it's in the silence that your brain changes.
You have to be intentional with your life. If you want to improve your life, nothing happens by accident. So I think there is 20 minutes in a day for you to meditate. Close your Instagram, stop scrolling TikTok. Doesn't matter what Trump is saying, doesn't matter whatever is going on, with the next celebrity. Find 20 minutes.
Anything about mental health that I'm worried about, but that's sort of my total sort of philosophy, is that people try and make it a negative.
Yeah.
And I see it as a positive. Instead of saying we have mental health issues, why not just say,
Terrence The Teacher, welcome to the podcast.
good afternoon, Francesco. Thank you.
Terrence, the conversation around mental health is more relevant than it has ever been. Suddenly, all influencers and celebrities advocate mental health. There's so many donations in relevant charities, it's all over social media, you name it, it has become very, 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 very popular. Do you think our society has generally become more emotionally open or just more performative about mental health? What do you think?
God, I think a lot of things, but where shall I start? I think that we are in an evolutionary system or program, the world that we live in. And I think if you look at the evolution of man, where we started, it was a very physical reality. The strongest survived, or the biggest survived, if you think about the dinosaur. And then, and then eventually we came along, and then we had the mental, we had the mind to outwit our enemies. So I think we went from physical to mental. But in the human, there's three parts. There's the physical, there's the mental, and then there's the emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in our evolution, we have now time to look at the emotion. And because we have more time, we can now label it and we can call it mental health, because the more emotion you have, or the more you can talk about it, and the more you can talk about your emotions, the more mental health obviously comes to the forefront. I think it's an evolutionary thing. I think it's just we are in a place now where we can spend time to take care of ourselves.
Right.
If you look at my generation, because I think I'm much older than you, I remember when I grew up, and I grew up in an orphanage, and they used to say, you just need to get on with it. You would cry, they go, stop crying, just do it. Because it was about survival. If you work hard, you would get somewhere. I think we are living in different times now. Mm-hmm. So we are lucky enough. So almost like, what I would say, we shouldn't make mental health a negative. We should almost go, how lucky are we?
Right.
Because it's always been around, but now we can deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my...
Yeah. No, you're right. And do you think this growing conversation around mental health has helped reduce its stigma? Or is it just another thing is it just a trend? It's just people use for attention?
I think the stigma has definitely been reduced. I think people, even men are now allowed to talk about, their emotions. So there, I think, is a definite change, evolution. So I think it's actually definitely changed things for the better. But if you want to talk about mental health as maybe just for the moment something fashionable, or the hashtag, I think it will be. I think that the next thing will come. But that's, again, evolution. Again, that doesn't make it a negative. It's just we progress. We move on to the next thing. That's what we as humans do. Otherwise, we wouldn't evolve.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And are there any misconceptions about mental health that you hear very often that you wish people just would stop spreading?
The only thing about mental health that I'm worried about, but that's sort of my total sort of philosophy, is that people try and make it a negative.
Yeah.
And I see it as a positive. Even, like, again, I mentioned that I grew up, in an orphanage. The fact that I grew up in a negative, or in a situation that was abusive maybe, or that was hard, it's not a bad thing. it's actually a positive because it made me stronger. So I just wish when people did speak about mental health, they would create a bit of a more positive angle, like what I've done with you. How lucky are we that we can discuss it? How lucky are we that we can look at it? And it's not bad if people fall apart. Sometimes we need to fall apart. It's a release. Emotions is a release. So let's maybe just shift it, reframe it.
Hmm.
Instead of saying we have mental health issues, why not just say we are now aware of our mental health and we can improve it and we have the time and we also now are learning the tools to improve it. It's just reframing it a little bit. That's all I feel.
Hmm. Right. It doesn't help anyone if we just make it completely negative, because then it's just gonna go. We're just gonna move, as you said, we've been moving forward, and if we don't remove the stigma, we're gonna move backwards, where people again repressed all of their negative emotions and how they felt, and they were afraid to speak up because they would be ridiculed and they would be labeled things. So certainly, I see how it can help if we just just keep openly
Reframe
talking
it.
about it,
Yeah. Make mental
reframing it.
health much more just a positive thing that we can tick off, we can deal with it, we can be with it without being scared. Because it's part of my mental health is part of who I am. Your mental
Hmm.
health is part of who you are. And obviously we have different angles that we come at it. And, maybe you have different issues than I have, but that's it. Doesn't make me better than you, doesn't make you better than me. And we both work on ours and then we have a great life.
Right.
Instead of making it this separate little thing that makes you separate to everyone else and you've got to now go and deal with it before we can come back into normal society, because that's what you remember, that's what they used to do in the old. There was mental health hospitals and people were locked up. Think about history,
Mhm.
and societies kept the people that weren't as the same as them away from them. And I think we don't want to go there again.
No,
No.
certainly. In this tumultuous world full of distractions, noise, what would be your number one advice for looking after one's own mental health?
Well, isn't that simple? Is to disconnect from the noise.
How do you do that personally?
Well, personally, hello. I'm a mindfulness meditation, coach. So I would say that, to create time, to meditate or time to just go into silence, connect to your breath. I mean, we can obviously talk about that more, but it is about balance. So it's not that it's bad that we are stimulated. Again, I always try and reframe things. It's okay that we stimulated. It's the fact that we don't have the counterbalance.
Hmm.
And if you think about all the noise, what happens, just think about it logically. Brain waves are sped up. There's a lot going in the brain. Every part of the brain is screaming, going, ah. And what you want is at some point, you want to slow them down and just go, it's okay. You are okay. And when the brain waves get some time just to slow down, obviously it affects you physically. You get a physiological response.
Hmm.
Dopamine levels, serotonin, all these things balance out. So it's not about that it's bad that we have the noise, but we have to have the counter. That's what we call balance. And
Right.
one way, like I just said, is make time to go and breathe. Go make time to go and sit somewhere, to close your eyes, because you want to get away from stimulation.
Yeah.
So closing your eyes, less stimulation. Away from noise, less stimulation. Sitting in one place, less stimulation.
Right.
And that's what meditation does. I'm not into the whole, you have to sit on a carpet, burn candles, and all these extra things. I'm not into, but find a space where this is my space. This is where it's just me and my voice, my breath, whatever else. And
Hmm.
everyone has that space for themselves. They know where that space is. And then make an effort to connect to your quiet space more often because you want to make that counterbalance. You want to balance yourself.
Yeah. And as you were saying that, I was thinking how where we live here in London, for the average person, they live in a room. So everything they do it in a room. and your working space is also your sleeping place and is also your meditation space. And when you're used to work all the time working in this room, your brain is conditioned to whatever stimuli. You have the TV here, the iPad here, the music. So when you try and sit down in the place where you work, it just makes it even so more difficult.
It does, but there's tricks, because like I know precisely what you mean, but I've got a couch. And when I
Hmm.
watch TV, I always sit on the right hand of the couch.
I see.
Always. When I meditate, I sit on the left hand
As simple as that.
because the brain learns through association. So
Yeah.
what I've done is I go to the left hand and my brain goes, what the hell? What's happening now? What is he doing? And then I just go and sit there and maybe put my feet up or I cross them, whatever it is, whatever's comfortable for me. And then immediately my brain goes, now what? And then I go into my meditation. So my brain has now learned the left hand of the couch is when I calm down and meditate. And you know what's so funny? If I'm just anxious and I just want to quickly calm down, I go and sit on the left side of my couch, and my brain, through association, goes, "Oh, okay, we're going to calm down."
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's something in therapy that they call, when you can lock something in through association. You know, oh God, now I can't remember the word. I'll remember the word now. But as an anchor, that's it. You can
An
anchor
anchor.
things because I work with athletes, so you can anchor it in their hand or in the palm or in the arm. If you rub it, you associate it to something. That's all it is. You're creating an anchor to the left side of your couch as where you calm down. You don't need to go to a mountain. Trust
Hmm.
me.
No, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Terence, you've been through a near-death experience, right? Can you please share what happened and how did it change you?
Well, how much do you want to know about the near death?
The whole thing, man. We have time.
Okay.
As much as you want to share. Let's go
Listen,
there.
I'm not scared and I'm not shy. So, yeah, 2014, I went for dinner with a client, and it was quite an interesting time of my life. I just released an app on Google App Store, a hypnotherapy app, and the app did very well. And I think within day two, it went to number one on Google App Store.
Nice.
Don't get overexcited. It was in the days before there were many apps. So, when you get there first, it's sometimes easier. And went for this dinner and walked the lady home. And then on my way home, I started thinking something's wrong. And I didn't realize what was going on. I had no pain. But as I was walking, it felt like the world was closing in on me. And I was saying to someone, it was almost like it felt like the world was rolling up and I could see behind the buildings. And there was just this vast void. It's like all, my vision, everything was just narrowing. So when I got to the gate of my building, now my building was associated to an hotel. And as I got to the gate, I had this voice, and this voice went, "Go and sleep. It will be the best sleep you've ever had." And I went, "Yeah." And I could imagine because I had this red couch. I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to lie on my couch and just fall asleep." And I was so tempted. But that week, a client of mine had sent me a book that he has been telling me to get for years. And I just never got the book. So he got his PA to drop it off to my flat. And it's called 59 Seconds. And it's 59 Seconds to Change Your Life. That's the book.
Hmm.
And as I was standing there, I remember I only read one chapter in this book. And the chapter was about this thing in psychology when something happens in public and you get attacked or you have a heart attack, people always expect someone else to phone the police. People always expect someone else to take control. And in this sort of model, the guy was explaining if anything happens to you in public, you need to go and point to someone and give them basically, the power to save your life, because he was actually giving the example of a guy having a heart attack in public, and he was saying, say to that person, phone the ambulance, because you might just save your own life by doing it. So I stood there, and this other voice went, "You've got 59 seconds to save your own life." And I decided to listen to this voice, walked to the hotel reception, walked up to the reception guy, and I said, "Phone the ambulance. there's something wrong. And the guy went, okay. And I said, I'll sit over there. So I went and sat, and I was typing to my clients going, don't know what's going on. I might be late, but I feel something is wrong. So the ambulance came about, I don't know, 40 minutes later. They put me on monitors. They did a few tests, and they said, listen, we don't know what's going on, but let's take you to the A&E. Just, let's go and have a check. Let's see what's going on. And they pushed me. They said, but you lie down, because I wanted to walk. They said, no, lie down. So on reflection, I think maybe they knew something was happening, but didn't want to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
So put me on the thing, pushed me into the ambulance. And I remember when I got into the ambulance, there was this song playing, and I could see the radio, and it was Heart FM. And I love Heart, the station. And it went, and I thought, oh, my heart. And Celine Dion came on, and it went, my heart will go on. And I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. Yes, of course, my heart will go on. There was a lot of weird things that happened that night.
Okay.
That I remember so vividly. And then the ambulance tried to go to one hospital. They were full, and they said, we can't. Then they went to a second. They said, sorry, A&E is full. So the third one that they took me to was actually the only hospital that had a space. And lo and behold, it was a hospital that actually specializes in heart disease. And as they pushed me into the A&E, I went into cardiac arrest. And my heart stopped in the A&E. Now, obviously, I'm telling you what I was told afterwards. Because I remember being pushed in. I saw the clock, and it said 10 to 12. It was a Saturday night. It was the 8th of November, 2014. And I saw the clock 10 to 12. And I don't remember anything after that. What I do remember is I woke up and I saw 10 past 12. And afterwards, they told me that I went into cardiac arrest for 20 minutes. And they didn't think I would come. They shocked me 9 times, broke my ribs to try and, do the resuscitation. And then they put me into, obviously, emergency ward. And apparently later I had another cardiac arrest for 10 minutes. And then the top cardiac surgeon walked in to do a shift. And he said, that guy is not going to survive another cardiac arrest. Let's go in. And he went in through my veins, and they saw that my main arteries were blocked. So I put in stents, and I think that saved my life. Now, that's what happened. Yeah. But on my end, obviously, I clocked out. I went somewhere else. And I went somewhere else twice. That's what I remember. That it felt like I left and came back. And I left, and obviously only after they told me what happened, it made more sense to me. Yeah. Now, I don't know if your audience or if you want to hear about that part of the experience.
Mm-hmm. Is it part of the transformation? Sure. If it's a lesson that you took from it, or is it something
I think it's more
metaphysical. Yeah, go on for it, man. Go for it, please.
So the first time that I went, I remember that these 4 men came and stood around me. And, it's a very interesting one because everyone always talks about love. But I've been trying to find a different word. I'm going to use the word acceptance. I felt this unconditional acceptance from these 4 guys. And they just went and said, the message without being spoken, because they were actually singing, was, come with us. I remember that we were actually singing. And it was like, come with us. We are yet to take you somewhere else. And I remember the song was The Caravan of Love. And it said, are you ready? Are you ready? Join the caravan of love. And it was so beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, this is so nice. Yes, I'm sure I want to go with you, la, la, la. And I remember it felt like we were on our way. And then this thought came up, and it was like, but are you sure? Are you sure that it is your time? Are you sure that you have done everything that you're supposed to do? And I was like, what do you mean? You've just told me to come with you, and it's also wonderful, and it feels amazing. And they're like, well, this can always come back, but are you sure? And then for a moment I went, God, maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm not done. And I thought, but why am I thinking I'm not done? And I said to them, yeah, maybe I shouldn't go with you. Maybe I shouldn't get on this caravan. Because no, if you ask me if I'm done, I know I've got a lot more to do. And then suddenly they were gone. And I
And that's when you
remember
came back.
that's when I came back. And then at some point they were back. And again, it was like, come with us. But the second time I was ready for them. So the second time I was like, listen, we've had this discussion now. And I was like, now you know, I'm not done. And they're like, but you sure you don't want to come with us? And I was like, I'm not done. And again, it was this wonderful acceptance. It was all beautiful. It was all about love. And I was like, I actually do think I even swore at them. Because I was like, now you've got to go. And I said it in a nice way with a swear word, because I'm now very clear that I'm not done. And then I was back in the room.
This is
Yeah.
very, I draw similarities with many stories on people who do very heavy DMT trips that are similar of these entities or people that speak to you without opening their mouth, in a way like the singing, the humming communicates with you. What do you make of this? What do you think was this metaphysical experience?
So I do think, for me, I think the body's switching off. And, you know, they say that there's a DMT that gets released actually in the brain when you start dying.
Yeah.
And I think I was basically for 20 minutes, I was dead because there was no heart rate. So I think what happens when this physical body is clocking out, the transition is being made easier by the body releasing, so that you have these visions. Now, if you want to ask me if I believe that then we continue, my answer will be yes. I don't think that this is it. But physiologically, I think that's the answer why it is so similar to people that take those drugs, because your body releases that automatically anyway. The body can produce it. And many a doctor said that that's what happens when a person dies. DMT gets released in the brain.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's to help us to make that transition. So that the dying is not this terrible thing that we think it is. And this is why once you've gone through it, you can't be scared of dying anymore. Because you realize it's not terrible. It's actually quite a beautiful process.
Peaceful, maybe.
It's very peaceful, or trippy. Let's call it, it's trippy. Whatever you want to call it. And I think what's quite fascinating is that, isn't it how beautiful this game works? Because if you're religious, go and ask to anyone that's had near-death experiences. When they're religious, it's an angel, it's Jesus, it's God, it's something beautiful, whatever their religion is that's coming to fetch them. If it's someone that's close to their mom that's moved on, the mom come and fetches them. So it's funny how that is so designer made for you.
Right.
How perfect is that? Because, for instance, obviously, I repeat myself, grew up in an orphanage. So I never knew my mom, never had a connection. So if a woman had come to me and said, hi, I'm your mom, I would have gone, huh? What? So they knew that they had to bring something else totally different to me for me to go through the process. And that's why I think it's so beautiful. You can't be scared of death after you've gone through something like that. You can't.
That's
and
so
I
fascinating.
And I now know this is not it. I never knew it. And again, because if it's not your experience, it's very difficult to own it. So I know until people haven't gone through it, of course, it's going to be difficult to believe or to buy into it.
Of course.
But once you've gone through it, that's why there's no doubt.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, back on at the beginning of your story, you said you had a voice. What do you make of that? Is that a gut feeling? Is that your body knowing what is about to happen before it happens, so it warned you? What did you make of that as well?
So again, in this game, this is why I try and take negatives away. I think this is a dualistic model that we live in, or game. So it's day and night, up and down, and I think that we have to always value the opposite. We are young, we are old, we live, we die. And I think whenever there's big decisions, there's always two choices, left or right. Go towards what you like and away from what you don't like. Stay where you stay or don't stay where you stay. And I think all that happened in that moment, as the noise of the world was just becoming less and less, and I was switching off, I was left with two choices. And the one was, if I went this way, I would have gone and slept and I would never have woken up. And
Hmm.
that would have been it. And the
That's
other one was, take this road and you might have another chance to survive. And I chose that road because we are
crazy.
yet to experience the choices. That's
Yeah.
free will.
Hmm.
It's making the choice. We're
Beautiful.
not
That's a cool
victims in
story.
this. Yeah, we're not
That's a cool
victims in
story.
this experience. Thank you. Sorry, I'm talking over you.
No, no, that's all right. That's all right. Have you tried DMT yourself, or have you had any psychedelic experience for you maybe to draw similarities?
Yeah, I mean, when I was much younger, I did acid,
Hmm.
ecstasy. I've tried a few things, and I would say the acid was the close. Oh, actually, no. I once by accident, and I know you're going to go, really? But it was, okay, maybe I have to explain. Met someone that was addicted to heroin, tried to help them, decided to throw the heroin away, but they were in bags. And stupid me went, I broke open the bags and washed it down the drain.
All
But I
right.
had a cut in my hand. So all I will tell you is, yeah, I remember I walked home from this person's house. I think it took me 9 hours to get to my house, but it was the best walk I've ever had in my life because I think it felt like I was flying. I was walking through paradise. So yeah, I would say maybe heroin was the closest in that sense.
That's so crazy to do
But
it by accident.
but yeah, no, and because I don't, because obviously I've never done the hard type of drugs, but and I thought I was helping this person by just taking the stuff and throwing it down the drain, but never thought as I was washing it down that some of it would get into a cut.
Yeah, of course, of course. That's crazy.
And yeah, and I had 9 hours of, and I don't regret it, actually, in a very strange way.
Okay.
Because again, like I said to you, if it's not your experience, it's very difficult to talk about it.
Hmm.
But really now, because I also work with people with addiction issues, I can really now understand when people say, but this is what it does, and this is a feeling, because I've experienced a part of that feeling.
Nice. Terence, talk to me about the Brain Edit program. What is it exactly that you have developed, and how does it help people?
Okay, my baby, the brain edit. So, I've been in the health and fitness and well-being industry for 35 years.
Oh.
Yeah, so quite a while. I'm not a baby anymore. And I started off as a personal trainer, then a Pilates teacher. Then I became a clinical hypnotherapist, studied NLP, neurolinguistics, and then eventually added mindfulness meditation to everything that I offer to my clients. And obviously, working with people with, all these different areas that I covered, I eventually just started realizing that there's trends, that there is, similarities to the physiology, the body, and the mind, things that pull through, techniques. And then when I then found mindfulness meditation, I sat and meditated for like 5 years after my cardiac arrest. And I had a lot of time to look at everything that I've learned about the human mind, the human body. And then I thought, oh my God, there is this very nice synergy of how it all works together. And in the end, what do people want to do? People want to improve themselves. People want to just be a better version of themselves. You don't necessarily want to, you know, totally, get rid of the personality or the individual. You just want to enhance.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, I work with the mind, I work with the subconscious mind. So I really work with the brain. But then the physiology also, affects the mind. And then if you look at the emotions and the thought work together, but also they're also affected by the physicality or the body itself. So these things all just, there was this thing that I just saw that everything flowed into each other. And then I thought, I want to help people in a very simplistic way using everything that I've learned and create a program. But what am I going to do? And I thought, I'm going to edit how their brain works.
Hmm.
Because if you optimize the brain and you just edit it to the best version of itself, you are actually helping someone. And, especially with technologies these days, if you think about every phone that you have, this is now the 10th, whatever, iPhone or Google phone or whatever that's out there. And then you get a 0.1 version and a 2.2 version. There's always an upgrade and updated, and it's an edit. And I just thought that's what we are doing. We are editing ourselves continuously. So that's where I came up with the brain edit. And
Mhm.
then within this program, I'm teaching techniques and steps that I know will edit you to the best version of you.
What are
And
the
I can tell
steps?
you, so it's got 3 pillars.
Mhm.
Yeah. And pillar 1 is mindfulness meditation. So I use it as my foundation.
Mhm.
It is the building block. That's where we start to change the mind. And we can go more into it if you want to. And then pillar 2 is this triple three technique that I've created. And again, it's after my heart attacks, I had time. I didn't work for a long time because I didn't know if I was going to recover. So I was meditating. I had time to sit and think. And the triple three techniques are these 3 little techniques that if you use them every day, if you incorporate them, they help to change how your brain works even more, even quicker. And then the last pillar is based on future achievement or goal achievement. So that means the things that you want to achieve, maybe the dreams and hopes that you have for yourself. Some people might call it to manifest that which you want, you know?
Mhm.
I don't often use the word manifestation, but that's what we are doing. We are achieving our goals. So with those 3 pillars, you start somewhere. I call it the foundation. Then you build the walls and then you put the beautiful roof on. And then you have this new person that's edited. You haven't got rid of the person, you've just added and made them prettier. That's what I think.
Right. Right. Let's start with mindfulness meditation then. In the modern world, the majority of people tend to live either in the future, in a state of constant anxiety, or in the past, in a ruminative state full of what if and regrets, with only few truly being present in the current moment.
Can I
Why?
ask you something
Yeah.
before you ask a question?
Yes.
Have you ever really thought why?
Because maybe the brain is a problem solving machine, so it's constantly trying to anticipate the next move, and it makes sense of the world maybe by reading past experiences.
You're sort of on the right track. It's much more simpler
All right, why?
because the brain is protecting us. And remember in one of the previous questions, I was talking about evolution. We were very physical. It was about survival of the physical species. And then we became mental and we developed aeroplanes and wheels and cars and we became the strongest animal on this
Hmm.
planet. And now we have time for emotions. But in our DNA, we are still hunter gatherer. And what the brain is trying to do is trying to protect you from danger that's in front of you. But you also have to look for danger behind you. So that's just an adaptation of that. But because our world is not hunter gatherer anymore, where is our future danger? Oh, it's the holiday I might not be able to go to in a year,
Right.
or it's the meeting that I might not make. And where is the danger behind us? Oh my God, all the stuff that's happened to me. So, in a very weird way, it's just a little adaptation of this protection mechanism to make sure that you are safe in the present. But what the mind then does is it takes you on this wonderful journey. And it is so busy trying to tell you you've got to be careful and be scared of the future. It's, oh my God, you don't know what's going on. That then in the present we can't function. And that's where we need to reset, edit our brain and go, I know you're trying to help me. I understand why you're doing it, but it's not serving me. Because as a matter of fact, being late for a meeting is not, I'm not in danger. And you've got to reteach your brain that you're actually safe and okay. And yes, if I don't go on my holiday in a year's time, that's okay. But the brain needs to be shown that those things aren't that massive, fearful, scary things that it's trying to make for us.
Right.
And the
So
same with our past.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So basically, our brain is trying to detach us from these other imaginary fears and outcomes, and in a way, this detachment is how we
Because it thinks it's
reclaim the
protecting
presence.
us. It thinks it's protecting us
Mhm.
by making us see this, the future as fearful or dangerous, or we've got to look at it because we have to look forward for danger. That's what we did as a hunter-gatherer. So the brain is just adapted now, and because life is much more safer, now it's founded in everything. Like I send an email, and then someone, I'm like, oh, someone hasn't answered it in 5 minutes. And then my brain goes, oh, but what if they don't? And then what if you don't make it to the meeting? And oh my God. And then, if you don't make it to the meeting, then you might not sign the deal. And if you don't sign the deal, oh my God, then it thinks it's protecting you. And we now have to teach our brain that actually these things aren't, putting us in danger. And we've got to change our relationship with our thoughts. But step one, and this is sort of the step one in my brain edit, is your brain is very much working on automatic because you deal from 5% conscious mind, but 95% of who you are is subconscious. You know this. I know you've interviewed people before. And that 95% is automatic. It's learned patterns, behaviors. It sits there. It's like a computer. It's like AI. It will just throw back what you've thrown at it. It's learned whatever's happened to you from the day you were born until now. Repetition of pattern. And now it throws it back at you. So what is the first thing we need to do if we want to make a change in that pattern? We have to interrupt the pattern.
Yeah.
We've got to find a way to interrupt. Yeah, but I'm gonna, breathing in, breathing. Yeah, but I'm gonna, breathing in, breathing. Yeah, but breathing in, breathing out. And that's where meditation comes in, because suddenly when I go to my brain, I hear you, but I know you think I'm in danger, but I'm showing you I'm okay because I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. And I'm doing all these breathing techniques and, there's things like breathwork, because you know what's so funny? The brain reads breath.
How so?
Because again, if you are anxious or in danger, you breathe shallow. And you breathe in the chest because I've got to get away from this. Oh my God, I don't know. Now, if you start hyperventilating or if you start breathing shallow, the brain goes, why is he breathing so shallow? Oh my God, something must be wrong. We have got to look for danger because he's even breathing shallow. So if you actually did the counter, which is meditation and breathing, and I go deep breath in, deep breath out, and I do it continuously, the brain goes, he must be safe. This animal must be safe because he's taking such deep breaths. So if he's safe, I can relax.
Right. You're tricking your brain.
You're tricking your brain. Yeah. It's so simple sometimes. Yeah.
It is, yeah. It is. It is.
We make it much more complicated than it is.
Yeah.
Because again, emotion, thought, and the physical work together. And if you can just understand how all three add to the pot of who you are and just work with all three, oh my gosh, it's so easy to change.
Right. Beautiful. I like that. You coach over your career, you've coached and helped so many people. And I wonder, in hindsight, where have you seen the greatest friction with people wanting to help themselves? Either be it trying to practice meditation or trying to become more mindful. What tends to get in the way most?
Life.
Life.
People are busy. And,
Yeah.
to sit and breathe in and breathe out sounds simple, but you've got to create the pattern and the habit. So I remember when I did my mindfulness training course, I remember that the first day that we sat down, I think we were a group of like 39 people. And what they did is they made us meditate for 20 minutes. Now, I never meditated in my life before. I almost packed up and left. By the next week, I think there was only 29, 26 people. By the third week, there was only about 18 people left. Because sitting there for 20 minutes and then they told you to go home and you have to do 20 minutes, it was just not possible because it was not part of my patterns. It wasn't a habit. So what I realized is, and that's again where the brain edit is different, is I've got to do this the other way around. I've got to first get people into the habit of meditating. And once they do, then I can extend the time.
Sure.
And that's precisely what I did as a personal trainer. If someone comes to me the first day, I'm not going to put them on a treadmill for 20 minutes. They will go, excuse me, sorry.
That's not for me.
Not for me. So you put them on for 5 minutes, well done, and we will build it up. And that's precisely what I do here. First meditation I teach clients, it takes a minute, not even a minute. And I go, practice. Because that's where people fall short. Because they come back and they go, I can't, I don't have time. No one can tell me they don't have time for 45 seconds. Sorry.
Yeah.
And once you can get the pattern and the habit in, then the next step of extending it. Because obviously, if we look at the science on when does the brain change, a lot of the science around mindfulness meditation has been done around 20 minutes on average.
Is that a day continuous or
Every day, 20 minutes.
okay?
So a lot of the like MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction, is based on 20 minutes every day. If you do a mindfulness-based stress reduction course, 6 to 8 weeks, but it has to be 20 minutes, blah, 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 then you can see changes in the brain. But subsequently, there's been other research that's come out that said 12 minutes a day. Mm-hmm. Then there's other philosophies or cultures that say you've got to meditate 40 minutes a day. So I think 20 is a nice in the middle, but to start for you and me, why not start with a minute? Mm-hmm. And then we build it up because, it's not like I'm a top athlete or whatever. I'm a starter. And it takes me a year, 2 years to build it up. And then I build, you've got to progressively build it up. Take your time with it.
Yeah, especially in this culture that rewards constantly working on the next thing, being super productive, maximizing every hour of the day, non-stop stimulation. I see how you can feel you have no time, but then again, you have to be intentional with your life. If you want to improve your life, nothing happens by accident. So I think there is 20 minutes in a day for you to meditate. Close your Instagram, stop scrolling TikTok. Doesn't matter what Trump is saying, doesn't matter whatever is going on, with the next celebrity, find 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Just find 20 minutes.
But I think when you start with someone, to say to someone, find 20 minutes, you will lose half of your audience.
Of course.
Or like me, my clients. So I start with 45 seconds to a minute.
And then I'm just saying that the time is there for those who say that the time is now.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And it's, logically, and we understand it, and it makes sense. But then for someone to go and create it, oh my gosh, it's the most difficult thing in the world.
It's difficult.
And the way that I work, because I'm a teacher, is I want to make it, I want them to eventually do it. And I'd rather wait 2 years, 5 years for them to get there than not do it at all.
Yeah. Can we dive deeper into the 333 technique? I'm very curious to see how it works.
So with the mindfulness meditation, so first of all, I teach people to meditate. Like I said, I start small, progressively build it up. Eventually we can get to 20 minutes. There's little different meditations in it. But the goal with the foundation of the brain edit is to interrupt the old you. That's what the goal is. We want to make sure that the way that your brain fires and wires automatically changes. And by doing meditation, you're changing how your brain works. Science tells us that. Science makes it very clear. If people meditate every day, after a few weeks, after a few months, you can see the brain's operation system changes. Amygdala thins out. So your fight and flight center reduces in size. They can actually see a physical reduction, which means if you were an anxious person, you'll be less anxious. Prefrontal cortex lights up more, insula, more active. So there's all these different parts that suddenly are working differently. And that all just by interrupting the old way of thinking. And the only way to interrupt it is not by going, say this or do this. No, breathing in, breathing out, switching off, disconnecting from stimulation. Because it's in the silence that your brain changes. That's
like
where the
that.
change and the magic happens. I noticed about 2 years after I started meditating that I acted differently in certain circumstances. My friends started noticing after about 2 or 3 years that I wasn't acting the same way or responding the same way to certain things. And all I was doing is meditating. Because in that space of silence, as my brain started, I think what happens is as you slow down your brain waves, yeah, every part of the brain starts running at the same speed. All go down to alpha brain waves, which is a much nicer brainwave. It's like having a meeting. If you had a meeting now, let's say you have a meeting now, and imagine your brain, and you have Mr. Amygdala, Mr. Insula, Mrs. Hippocampus, hypothalamus, all the different parts in this meeting room. And you walk into the room and you say, hey, people, we've got to make a decision. And they all start talking at the same time. And the amygdala goes, no, you've got to listen to me. And it jumps on the table. Ha, I'm the main Mackie, and I'm telling you, run. We are in danger. There's not much that's going to go happen in that meeting. But now when you meditate, suddenly everyone calms down, everything slows down, and now you sit in the meeting and you go, okay, prefrontal cortex, you say your piece. Amygdala, you say your piece. Insula, you say. And suddenly you come up with a total different answer.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing to yourself just by interrupting the old way of thinking, by breathing in and breathing out. So that's the foundation. Pillar one, done. Now you have to go into your life, yeah? So in your life, you've got to now have a way to figure things out. And this is where the 333 technique now comes in, because there's these three little models. There's called the response model. So how do I respond to my life? Everything. From the minute I wake up till the minute I go to, because the way I respond is going to affect how my brain works. It's going to affect my mental health. So response model.
Sure.
Next one is coping model. How do I cope to the things that happen? How do I cope with the things that happen? So now we learn how to cope. And then the last one is something called the pack model, but it's remodeled. Now the pack model is an old model from some well-known guy in psychology that said that our brain was divided into 3 ego states: parent, adult, child.
Right. Yeah.
I think you've heard of that one. And what I've done is I've used it, but I've just put a little bit of an interesting touch to it, changed the lettering of the pack around so that, again, in your day-to-day life, you can use the pack model to look at how am I dealing with the situation? How am I dealing in this moment? And then to just shift yourself to maybe a different way. So it's awareness. So these models make you more aware. You feel more empowered because you have these tools. You have steps to follow because there's 3 steps. Every model has got 3 little steps, and then every model fits into each model and they work together. It's like a beautiful synergy, beautiful synergy. And the more you use them, the more natural they become. And the more you can do them within a second. Yeah. So do you want me to explain a bit more about those models for you, like one of them, just to give you an idea?
Whichever you think is of most value to the audience, perhaps.
Yeah. So let's look at the response model. And I think I think this is why I want to mention it, because we spoke about it already. We are emotions, we are thought, and we are physical response. That's what I say. This is how we operate. So every time you have a thought or an experience, that goes off, yeah? Let's say, for instance, I am scared. That's your thought. And that's a conscious thought, yeah? You respond. But now, even though it's one little thought, in your subconscious mind, you have thousands of thoughts that now analyzes that I'm scared. What does it mean? Where does scared come from? What's happened before when he was scared? Oh my God, we've got to help him. And it will take you from everything that's ever happened to you as a child until now around scared. And then it will also check into the emotion around scared. Oh, it doesn't feel good. Oh my God, it's terrible. Oh my God, no, no. And I remember the previous times that you were scared and you felt bad. So now the emotion feeds the thought. And you only had one little thought, and you don't even know what the heck's going on. This is why people sometimes feel overwhelmed at the end of the day, because they think they have one or two thoughts. There's a lot more going on. Now, once the emotion has fed the thought, you have the physical response, which is, oh, I run away. Or I feel low, or I feel down, or I look grumpy, whatever the response is to that. So that's the response model. And it's just teaching someone every time that something happens to you, check into that, because there's much more going on than you realize. And once you start seeing your response model and recognizing, then you can go to the next model, which is, now how do I cope with it?
Right. And that's why it's so important what the self-talk you have with yourself. All these other positive affirmations, or if you are, you need to be your harshest critic to a degree, but if you constantly put yourself down and you talk to yourself, I'm anxious, or I'm bored, or I'm this, all this negative self-talk, your body will just start reacting as you just said. So yeah, I see how important it is, this self-talk.
I think what's very important maybe to remember is that the subconscious mind has no judgment of experience. It only reads experience for what it is. And then it makes a note of it and it holds on to it. So if you're anxious, it will just go, oh, Francesco is anxious. And then it will start looking and then, oh, he's anxious again. Oh, he's anxious again. Oh, he's... So eventually it will build up this library of Francesco's anxious. So the subconscious will eventually decide and go, okay, Francesco is an anxious person. Voila, there you go, Francesco, enjoy.
That's your personality now.
That's your personality. It will not, it doesn't go, it's wrong, doesn't go, it's bad, or you should. It just reads whatever has been put in.
And if you keep feeding it garbage, you become garbage.
There we go. So yeah, saying negative stuff, you can do it, but all you're doing is you're feeding whatever. You're feeding the line. So it doesn't help us.
Right. Right. I just have a thought. From what I know, you also work with some more high-profile people. I'm curious, Terence, what are the most common struggles that these high-profile people face? Are they the same challenges as everyone else, just more amplified? Are there more unique pressures that come with fame and success that these people seek the most help with?
Okay, I'm going to take you to a different angle. Stress is stress. So when your body reads stress, it's a measurement of dopamine, adrenaline, oxytocin, whatever, cortisol. When my body reads stress, it's dopamine, oxytocin, cortisol. Yeah? Stress is stress. My water falls over on my table. It stresses me. Oxytocin, dopamine, cortisol, adrenaline. You are in a war situation and there's a bomb or there's an airplane going over and you're scared a bomb is going to be thrown. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Stress. Your body goes cortisol, adrenaline, dopamine. Now we try and say that it's different, but depending on the person, my body could release the same amount of cortisol, adrenaline, and dopamine than yours does, just because of my learned patterns and behaviors around something as stupid as a glass falling over than you living in a war situation.
I see.
So if you look at high profile people, their stress is no different than ours. It's dopamine, adrenaline, oxytocin, cortisol, all those things. It's just what they decide or what their pattern has told them is what stresses them. But then the same with the man on the street or the person that's not successful. Stress is stress.
I see.
So there is no, I don't differentiate between successful, famous, or poor, young, whatever. There is no difference. I deal with the symptoms, the stress. And how can we interrupt your patterns? How can we breathe in and out to calm down your response? And then once we've brought down the response, then we teach you to cope. And then once we've coped, we can move on. Because that's also then, just to finish that whole thing about the brain-headed model, the last part or the pillar 3 is then once you have sort of now dealt with the automatic system, you're interrupting it, you're creating a space for the new you. Now, day to day, you're learning to cope. You've got a response model, a pack model, remodeled. Then the next step is once you are this new person, now you can start achieving and looking at your goals and future, whatever it is that you want to manifest or create, but from a total different place. And that's obviously pillar 3. But again, it doesn't matter if your goal is, I want to buy myself a pair of trainers in a year's time, or I want to buy myself 3 private jets in a year's time. A goal is a goal. It releases the same things in me that it releases in the next person, no matter what the goal is.
That makes sense. That absolutely makes sense.
I do think that we make a mistake there by categorizing. And I think psychology has done it. They do say, there's the top stressors. And I think it's true. But we have to be careful with that because in the end, the body reads stress as stress. And I think, like you say, we are living safer and better lives these days. But more people are stressed than ever. So we've got to just acknowledge that there's something going on. There is an over release of cortisol, adrenaline, all these stress hormones. Let's just look at it and let's help people to reduce that, no matter what the stress is.
Right.
I hope that answers your question.
It does, absolutely. I saw that you also organize mindfulness and meditation retreats a couple of times a year in Portugal, right?
At the moment in Portugal, yeah.
I'm curious now in these retreats because I personally I've never been in a retreat. The closest I've been to a retreat would be a solo trip somewhere by myself with plenty of time to think about life. I don't know if that counts. But I wonder in these retreats, what do you think people are really retreating from? Is it the world or is it themselves? What have you noticed?
I think retreating is basically creating that interruption, isn't it? What I always talk that I've just spoken about. By just stepping out of your own reality just into something else where you almost you've given yourself permission for a day or 2 or 5 or 7 to not sustain your automatic program. It's almost like people need that permission. So a retreat is a good way to give themselves, but I'm doing a retreat now, so I can't take calls and I can't do this. And
Right, yes.
I think that's what's happening. It's almost like people need the excuse. Because if someone doesn't give them that excuse, I don't know if they will take that time for themselves.
It forces them into disconnecting, yeah.
And people know that, but it's all, I think in their mind it's more, without them knowing it, it's giving them the excuse to disconnect from their life and all the madness that's going on. And then participating in something totally different. And no matter what that is, because, there's so many different retreats, but you're going to feel better because, it's going to be slower. It's going to be counter to your learned patterns and your grooves. It's going to be beneficial. It's going to be beneficial.
Have you ever witnessed any life-changing transformation in these retreats you've been or organized?
Well, life change. It's difficult when you ask, have I noticed or seen. I have heard people report back that I've given them their life back or that I've changed their life.
That's no small thing.
So that I've experienced because
Yeah.
someone, or they've come and hugged me and thanked me for showing them a new way. So that's the closest I can come to answering that question. Because
Oh well.
again, you know what's so fascinating, Francesco, and I'm sometimes my own worst enemy in this, is that it's not me. All the answers is within you.
True.
Sometimes you just need to be taken away from all the noise. You sit under a tree and suddenly you go, oh my God. And you get these clear ideas. But then you go back and say, oh, it was a retreat. No, it was you that
It
went and
was
sat
you.
under the tree. And I just gave you
That's
the
it.
permission.
That's it.
Yeah. So as much as I want to take the credit, uh, I think it's just I've given people that space and opportunity. And obviously, I share knowledge. But a lot of that work is done by themselves because they now have time to ask questions about their life and themselves and understand that other things are important. And they go back and they go, wow, I've got to change. And then I get the credit for it.
We all have the answers within us. You just give them the
Totally.
little push they needed for them to go discover them.
Totally. And that's another reason. I don't know if you've wondered about this. I don't know if you know this, but my legal name is the teacher. So I'm Mr. Terrence the Teacher.
Wow.
So on my passport, it says the teacher.
That must be confusing people at the border.
Oh, and I love it. I love it because the guy will go, you the teacher? I'm like, yes, I'm the teacher. Not just
That's
a
so cool.
teacher, the teacher. And I've had one guy once say to me, oh my God, tell me, what do you teach? I said, do you have a lifetime? And he's like, no, in 1 minute. And I said to him, okay, I'll teach you that life is fascinating. And one
Mhm.
day look, you'll meet someone like me, and you never thought you would, whose surname is the teacher. Isn't that amazing? And he was like, yeah, it is. So, but the reason why I was saying it is that when I started off, especially when my app went to number one, at some point people started calling me a guru, a master. And I never wanted any of that because you do all the work. All I'm doing is I'm teaching you a few principles, giving you a few techniques. So and I always say that teachers in my life are the reason why I'm the person that I am today. Because again, I didn't have family, so teachers were those people that I relied on. But my teachers always believed in me, and they said, "Come on, Terrence, you can do it. We know you can. You'll get through the exam. You'll do." I wanted to become a teacher to people.
Nice.
And
Nice.
that's why I am Terrence the Teacher.
You've made it.
Yeah.
You made it.
So people know that I'm just the teacher, but you the one that goes and achieve and change your life.
Right. And in these, I want to go back to the retreats from all these people that you do help them and they do find themselves. I've heard so many fascinating stories about how they had these eye-opening experiences, either because of psychedelic retreats or meditation retreats. But how they come back a changed person, only to see them fall into the same destructive patterns and the same harmful habits just a few weeks later. Is it impossible to remain in this enlightened state of awareness? And how can we integrate back into normal life in a way that will serve us so that we maintain this state as long as possible?
That is my biggest question as well. That's my biggest question. And this is why I think the brain edit is quite different to other retreats because you go on retreats, you do yoga, you do massages, like you say, some you do psychedelics, but without context and without tools and principles and all these things that you can actually take home and sustain, you're right. It eventually just sort of, cools down and people go back. So one of my main goals on my brain edit retreats, it's very short as well, is to teach people my basic principles like the foundational little principles that is so easy to do and to take with you. So you actually get lectures on my retreats. It's not, trust me, it's not like you sit under a tree the whole day and go, woo. You actually sit in a class and I give you lectures, like almost like what I'm doing with you, where when people take notes and they go, oh my God, okay, it's a breath in, breath out. Oh my God, I've got the coping model. Oh, well. So that when they go back to their life, they have this tool set and hopefully have learned about the habit of meditation and the value, and then really hopefully to go and incorporate it. And one of the things I try and do is after the retreat, I keep in contact and keep sending stuff through to people to make sure that they're reminded of what they were learning, so that, and I'm going, make sure, see how you now, because you want to integrate it now into your life at home. Because sitting in a beautiful 5-star hotel that's made by Christian Louboutin, anyone can be peaceful. And then you come back to your 1-bedroom or your studio flat in London and your neighbors are having a party every night. It's a little bit of a different story.
Yeah.
So then it's about, how do I integrate this? So I try to make sure that my retreat is not too far removed from reality, and that we still make sure that we discuss their reality, bring it into the teaching, and then how do we also convert it so that they can take it home,
Right.
so it doesn't get lost.
No, that makes sense. That's wise. Yeah. Having it match, having it not be so unrealistic. Yeah, that
That's
makes
it.
absolute sense. Yeah.
Because, like with things with psychedelics and that, it's all fair and well, but how often can you do it? And there's all these other things, and so it's, and again, I've seen wonderful things happen with it, but I'm much more geared towards, I try and be practical, and as a physical trainer, then that went into the mind and all that stuff. I just know my body wouldn't be able to deal with psychedelics the whole time. Not even my brain would.
Yeah. No, after some time,
Yeah.
you just
So
had enough. Yeah.
that's it. So I think what I would like to teach is rather the stuff that I know that can be sustained naturally and that people have naturally on themselves. And we have chemicals. I mean, I've had unbelievable, trust me, out of body experiences, but just through breath work. I mean, breath work, you can really go to places that, I know drugs have taken people.
I've heard that so many times.
Oh my
I
gosh.
haven't. I wish I could reach it, but I've heard that so many
Oh,
times.
you don't understand. I remember
I
as my,
almost don't believe it. The only reason I believe it is because so many people
trust me,
account this, but
trust me. I played around with a little breath meditation. I remember in the beginning years after my heart attack, and I was having all this time. And I was living in this apartment where I also obviously had the heart attack. And I remember did this meditation, had this I mean, I can't even explain this experience, but it was so vivid and so strong. Just so you know, I couldn't leave my flat for 2 days
wow.
because my body was tingling, vibrating. I felt see through. I mean, I definitely know that through that breath, I connected to something else. I became conscious energy. It's almost like I stepped out of solidness and became a waveform. And because
That's
of that,
insane.
I couldn't move out into the world because it was, so it took me 2 days to ground myself back.
That sounds like a psychedelic trip.
To
Yeah, that
what
sounds very.
listen,
Yeah.
100%. Because I told you I've tried acid and then I've had that other weird experience. I genuinely know you can create it without any help. But we live in a society where we want the quick fix. We want to get
Yeah,
there
of
faster,
course. Of course.
unfortunately.
We want everything yesterday.
Yeah.
No one has 5 years to put in the work. It's like, what's a quick fix? Tell me the shortcut. I'm gonna buy this course. Is it gonna make me famous? Is it gonna make me rich? Is it gonna make me? Am I gonna be healthy? Is this vitamin gonna make me healthy in 30 days? It's like you're still not sleeping. You still have a terrible diet. But what makes you think taking a vitamin or listening to doing meditation once is just gonna fix years and years of negligence? So yeah.
100%. It's time bound in the end. We can't get away from it. It's what you do every day that eventually shows up in a year from now, or 5 years from now, or 10 years from now.
It's a
But it's
simple
what you
thing.
do every day. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one.
All right, Terrence, last question. What do you want to be remembered for?
Oh, wow. My love for life.
Hmm. Tell me more about
You
it.
know, well, I had a very interesting start to life. You know, mom was murdered, 2 months old when that happened, grew up in a orphanage, then foster homes, then had to find jobs, had like 5, 6 different jobs since the age of 16 because I had to survive. So I can tell you this, it sounds terrible. But you know what? All I remember every day is like I was like, I love this experience. I love life. If I just get to tomorrow, I know it will get better. And then back to the heart attacks. When I told them I'm not done, even swore at them and go away. I want people to remember that I really love this life with all the shit that's happened. I think it was a gift. I think it is a gift. A client once flew me somewhere to a beautiful island that's only the rich and famous go to share me with her friends. And in front of the friends at a dinner was like, if you had to change one thing in your life, and you know what my answer was? Nothing. Nothing. It was perfect. It made me who I am. So yeah, hopefully just my love for life.
That's beautiful. Terrence the Teacher, thank you very much.
Thank you, Francisco.